Hey, not from Boston fans. It's just me, disembodied voice Bennett. Unless you always listen to this audio only, in which case I'm always disembodied voice Bennett. Anyway, look, I gotta let you guys know that this week you're only getting one part of the episode that I recorded this week because Alex Cora got fired and it messed everything up. I ended up doing about a half hour talking about how I felt about the Cora decision, and also how the Red Sox delivered that information from a PR perspective. Because this happens to also, besides being a Red Sox fan, this is now like in my professional wheelhouse. So I kind of fell down a rabbit hole. The rest of the episode was going to be about, ironically, it was going to be about what to do with the Red Sox once Craig Breslow leaves, given that he, in terms of the life cycle of a Red Sox general manager or chief baseball officer, he's kind of nearing the end anyway. And that, deep dive was a lot of fun to record, but it also made the podcast like well over an hour long. And I frankly am in finals and I don't have time to edit all of that. So you're getting just the Alex Cora reaction from me. It was recorded on Wednesday. And the other half of the episode is going to be maybe worked into other pieces, but like I think I'm going to have that as an episode for the week after next. So that's all that is. I hope you enjoy this episode. It actually was a lot of fun to record, even though the news sucked. Enjoy. Cool. Welcome back to Not From Boston. Things are bad. They've gotten worse. They've gotten pretty stupid. But yeah, welcome back to a Red Sox show hosted by someone who really has no right to be a Red Sox fan, but has decided to curse his existence by tethering it to this franchise. I'm your host, Bennett Weinshank. And, first things first is we got to talk about the elephant in the room. We got to talk about Alex Cora. For those of you who somehow didn't hear or, just maybe you were busy. On Saturday, manager Alex Cora and bench coach Ramon Vasquez and hitting coach Pete Fatsi and third base coach Kyle Hudson and game planning coordinator and franchise icon Jason Varitek and I think assistant coach Dylan Lawson and maybe one other guy were fired after a 17-1 win against the Baltimore Orioles. Yeah, fired. Unexpectedly, I think. I was trying to just do my finals. I was trying to get ready for I had a presentation on Monday for my finals. I was trying to get ready for that, trying to brush up on everything. And then my phone starts buzzing, and then I see Jeff Passan's face, and I know that that's never a good thing because Jeff Passan carries with him big news every time. And yeah, and then my Saturday blew up in my face, in the palm of my hand. We're mixing metaphors here. It's fine. How do I feel about Alex Cora and his coaches getting fired? I don't feel great. I think it has... I guess I'll put it this way. I published a piece on Substack, which you're all subscribed to, right? Published a piece on Substack today that was basically a slightly edited version of my column that I had to write as an assignment for my baseball writing class. And I think it kind of neatly summarizes my feelings, which is that, yeah, Alex Cora was no longer the right fit to manage the Boston Red Sox. But, and it's big fucking but, he's no longer a fit because Craig Breslow made him not a fit. You know what I mean? Like, you created the circumstances for that to happen. Alex Cora he's a winner. He's competitive. He likes to manage teams that he thinks can win because the postseason is where he is actually his best as a manager. Like, we've seen that. We saw that in 2018. We saw that in 2021, and we saw that a bit in 2025. Despite the outcome in those last two seasons, he's really good at managing a roster of veterans who already know what they're doing, and he's just there to take them over the finish line, to guide them into battle, and really, meet that moment. Alex Cora is not interested in, has never been interested in, being a babysitter, which is more or less what Craig Breslow made him into being by removing really any and all veteran presence from that clubhouse, by refusing to re-sign Alex Bregman, letting Rob Refsnyder go, and having Cora manage a bunch of, I don't mean this disrespectfully, but manage a bunch of kids who, are still finding their footing and still need leadership. And Cora is not, and it's not a bad thing. He's just not interested in providing that leadership. That he feels that is a player's responsibility as a veteran player to lead the team, under a manager, not the manager's job to hold a rookie's hand as he navigates the brave new world. I do think that, even though Cora's under contract for 2 more years, so he's getting paid now $13 million to just fuck off and do nothing, which I wish I had that. Fire me in that case. I think Breslow created a context for which Alex Cora no longer belonged. And that was his opportunity to push him out. Because I also do think, and I think it's pretty well documented, that Cora and Breslow have fundamentally different views on how to develop and play the game of baseball. I've joked about it before, but Breslow is very, very analytically driven. He is a big fan of his model, his algorithmic model that tells him, what matchups work best, who plays better where, what the vision is for this iteration of the Red Sox. And Cora, does not, he doesn't hate analytics. He likes to use them as a tool, but he also, I think Cora has a feel for the game that Breslow strangely doesn't, despite being a veteran pitcher. But so it's not a coincidence that all the guys that got fired alongside Cora are his hitting staff, which, struggle. Hitting is the kind of the weakest part of the Red Sox roster right now. And they're all Cora's guys. They're all guys that Cora brought into this organization when he was hired. They're all guys that he stands by. And so it's not surprising to me that Craig Breslow cleaned house, and now we are going to get the unfiltered Craig Breslow vision of the Boston Red Sox, which I don't particularly love because, again, this style of development, I don't lean toward. I'm not into teaching guys to focus, mainly on bat speed and launch angle or on spin rate. I want them focusing on getting on base, staying on base, scoring runs, getting outs, making batters swing and miss. There's a fundamental, and we'll get to this in a minute, but there's a fundamental piece of the puzzle that I think, from watching Craig Breslow develop a team, run an organization for the last almost 3 years, that is something that I've seen lacking repeatedly. And I think there was a disconnect between him and Cora that made that worse. So I'm not, I think for cohesion's sake, and for what Cora is good at, for playing to his strengths, I think, the Red Sox no longer made sense, and it makes sense to me that he's no longer there. At the same time, this was handled badly, and it doesn't take getting your master's in public relations to see that. Couple of things. One, guys, Craig Breslow and Sam Kennedy, and, John Henry, if he somehow found this podcast, you cannot tell the press that you decided on Saturday to fire these guys. Because in the year of our Lord, 2026, reporters are savvy enough and technology is there where they can look up and find when you chartered the private jet. And Friday is not Saturday. There are several things about how they handle this I find upsetting from both a PR perspective and just like as a person. I'm just like, read the room, have some feel for it. The fact that they hired a Sprinter van to take the guys they fired out to the private jet, and that Sprinter van they hired, the company's name on the side of the van is Coaches for Hire LLC. Like, you're telling me that you guys couldn't have like caught that one and maybe hired a different like transportation company in Baltimore? I'm sure that there is another one. That was, again, an unforced error. I think then also another unforced error is waiting to talk to the team until Sunday. Kennedy said to a couple of guys at the press, and also he was like, we're going to do a press conference Sunday. So it's, they say, I've had professors say it to me in class as like an old PR adage. I think it's kind of just a cliche that's just generally true. If you don't control the story will control you. And actively choosing, after firing a manager who is, let's be clear, beloved by players, beloved by the sport, beloved by the people in the sport, beloved by the city of Boston, firing that guy and then not talking and giving the press 12 hours to, write whatever they want to write and say whatever they want to say and shape the narrative themselves, that's a bad idea. And I think you see that play out where you then have, everybody on the internet, on Twitter, anyone who reads The Athletic, anyone who consumes sports media, has now a fully formed opinion before you get a chance to talk on Sunday morning at a press conference. Like that you are only hurting yourself in that case. It would have been much smarter to do a press conference. Frankly, if you could get Cora to be by your side at the press conference, like that, I think would be better. But like, you need to be able to talk to the public right away, because you want to at least try to shape the narrative and get some handle on it, some control over it before the public and the media do their thing. And that's, not to say that I think the media's interpretation of this was wrong. I actually think it's right. But I'm saying, like, as someone who is currently learning about how to help, companies and organizations migrate crises and interact with their, their publics. I also, which is funny because I also just feel like everything I just said was like common sense, but whatever. Secondly, if you're going to fire somebody on the road, have an intern roll up the background from your pressers in Boston and have him or her or them bring it to Baltimore or bring wherever you are and put it up in front of the background that the home team has. Because doing your I just fired the boss or I just fired the manager press conference in front of a background with your opponent's logo blasted all over it and your opponent's sponsor, who probably didn't want to be anywhere near this, also on the background. It looks incompetent. It looks like a mistake. Even if it wasn't even if it was deliberate, you were like, it doesn't matter to us. It should. It looked bad. It reminded me of Veep. If you're reminding me of a sitcom about incompetent people, that says something to me about how you are doing your job. It's just like, and look, I want the Red Sox to be good at this. I want them to be better at this. I'm not saying this to, be mean or punch down. It's genuinely like, hey, guys, like, making decisions like these is fine, whatever, but you have to, be prepared to explain yourselves and be prepared to do it in a way where you don't come off, in all the ways that I've described. This is avoidable. You just have to be like a little more deliberate in what you do. I think also again, while we're on the topic of mistakes, the fact that the Red Sox had a brief team meeting with the players, like the Breslow and Kennedy and John Henry apparently just in the corner vibing, not I don't know, having anything to say. Weird. But only briefly talking. I read reports that Breslow only talked for 2 minutes. And the interim manager, Chad Tracy, who managed the AAA team in Worcester, only, spoke for about 3. And, that's weird. The fact that Trevor Story comes out of this meeting pissed as hell, saying he doesn't know what direction the franchise is going in, that's very bad. Again, poor, communication on that part for him to feel that angry and for him to be able to say that to media. The fact that Garrett Whitlock, who, by the way, is the player association representative on the Red Sox roster, I think, for him to say that his takeaway from the meeting was that management wants them to be concerned about playing baseball and that they should only focus on playing baseball. That's, again, not really the tone that you want to strike with your team, with your players, your ostensibly, in that case, your employees. It's, shut up and dribble. We all know that kind of line of thinking, and we all know that it's a little demeaning and demoralizing to the athletes involved, because what they think does matter. They are the people, they are the most forward-facing people in your organization. They're the people that your fans come to see. And if they're not going to be happy, if they're going to start talking poorly about your team, that's going to hurt the team. That's going to hurt the organization. It's going to drive fans away. And you cannot take that for granted. And also, when you remove, again, a leader like Alex Cora, who is, again, beloved by players and a key piece of the chemistry that keeps that, clubhouse afloat, removing that very suddenly and not providing information for 12 hours overnight before meeting on Sunday, and then providing very little information then, and not allowing players to ask questions about it, that degrades a lot of the trust that your players have in you as an organization. And I think that that's, to me, really concerning, because that sends the message, because this is public, this is all stuff that's been reported, that sends a message to other players around baseball that is, ooh, I don't want to go play in Boston because it sounds like at some point I'm going to be disrespected, or that this current management, they don't take what I would have to say seriously as a player. They wouldn't necessarily respect me the way I feel I should be respected. I don't like how they're treating the players there. That, that's what you're inviting but when you make these choices. And so I think, this is something that's not just true for the Red Sox. It's true in baseball, in all sports, in all management, organizational situations. You do have to, you can't just wave a wand and make big decisions like this, because there are a bunch of unintended consequences that you are probably not thinking about at the moment, or you are minimizing. And I don't know why I'm saying you, because I don't think any of my listeners are in this position, but in a moment like this, where that is chaotic and is scary and leaves you with a lot of questions about what the state of the organization is, you want to be able to provide as soft a landing as possible, as clear a vision as possible. You need a steady hand to be hey, it's okay. I know this is confusing. Let's talk about it. It's gonna be fine. It's concerning to me that the Red Sox don't have that, aren't offering that to players. Anyway, that went a lot longer than I thought. That's not even the main segment that I had planned for today, which is kind of ironic, and we'll get to that in a minute. The Red Sox are still pretty bad. They won 2 in a row after Tracy was hired. So they went on a 3-game winning streak, which is great. And then they lost yesterday, and I believe they're losing. If they haven't lost already, they lost today. This is Wednesday when we're recording this. So, yeah, continuing to be not great. I am mostly out of breath, so I'm going to kind of slow my roll there. I am going to read, though. Harry has sent several novel-length thoughts. As somebody thought about the team. Harry says, the Boston Red Sox are, in my not-so-humble opinion, everything that is wrong with modern baseball. They are a team that is built on complete statistical analysis. They are a team that is built on 75% of the lineup being platoon lefty-righty guys. They're a team that is composed of guys who don't really have a set position. A few guys do, but then they're they get moved off their set position, and they're a team that lacks any real identity. I've said this before, but I think we went into the season with an expectation and hope that run prevention would be the identity. We've now lost Garrett Crochet to the IL. Oh yeah, that's a really good point. I forgot about that in this episode. Garrett Crochet is on the injured list for a few weeks with shoulder inflammation, which is always what you want a pitcher to have. We've lost Sonny Gray to the injured list, which is also not good. That's 2 of our 5 starters. I would assume more frequently than position players. Or we've lost. Pitchers get injured. I would assume more frequently than position players. So that's down the tubes. Yes, we have a wellspring of really young, vibrant talent, but I think we all know in baseball, young talent in the minor leagues does not always translate to success in the major leagues. There have been countless examples of the greatest prospects to come up batting 130 as soon as they get to the big leagues. See Billy Beane. Second Billy Beane mention of the show. That's interesting. However, the loss of Alex Cora signals the end of what I think was a tug of war between the on-the-field team and the front office. It's obvious that Alex Cora was not Craig Breslow's first choice while being somebody that is able to incorporate analytics and stats from the front office into his game day decisions. Also, not Breslow's choice. Breslow did extend him for 3 years. So I don't Breslow had his opportunity to fire him earlier, I think. Anywho. Cora, particularly at the beginning of his tenure with the Red Sox, was someone who relied on the eye test. Last year, even, he proved that he was someone who was willing to let I don't know who this is. I don't know what this might be a typo. But he was willing to let pitchers stay on the mound in the 8th and 9th, even if they were pushing 100 pitches, and they were seeing the lineup for a 3rd or 4th time. He's somebody that was able to identify the right moves to be made out of the bullpen more often than not. Again, something that to me is a smell test or an eye test as opposed to the number, say, XYZ. And I do think I would be remiss if I didn't say I am really, really sad to see Cora go. I think we've seen Breslow make 3 commandeering decisions that are very clearly going to decide the direction of this organization going forward, whether or not he's in charge. The dismantling of the Rafael Devers contract for simply a money dump, which I think at this point it's very apparent and clear that that's what they were doing, considering that James Tibbs, who is destroying the minor leagues and is not in our farm system, the refusal to bring back Alex Bregman because of something, in my mind, as trivial as no trade clause for someone who has a family and children who wants to know that where he's going to be living and sending his children to school. That's all a really good point. Not giving the only leader on the team that has any gumption the no trade clause in watching him walk away, and now letting go of arguably one of the best hybrid old school, new school managers in the game signals a very clear shift that we are going entirely Tampa Bay Rays, which is like a new school style of baseball. And guess what? If that produces a winning team, I will be happy at the end of the day. I am a Red Sox fan, and I want to see the organization do well. I want to see the players that I love. When I do like a lot of these guys, I really like Wilson Contreras and Wilyer Abreu. He might be one of my favorite players we've had in the last 10 years. His performance has a lot left to be desired, but I do like Trevor Story. There's a lot of likable characters on this team. I love Brian Bayo. What I will leave as my parting words here: Craig Breslow, you now have the keys to the kingdom. There are no shackles on your ankles holding you back from designing the team that you believe is the best team to win us a World Series. And yes, the goal is winning a World Series. Getting to the first round of the playoffs or winning 90 games or winning a division is not the goal for the Boston Red Sox. We are not the Tampa Bay Rays. We are not the San Diego Padres. We are a team that should be looking to win the World Series every single year. That is our only goal for this organization. One more text. So with all that being said, Craig, you finally have an opportunity to bring in your manager, your superstar, your superstars, or lack of thereof. If you don't want to bring in one, you have an opportunity to design your coaching staff. You have an opportunity to build this thing from the ground up that you have sold us on, right? So, full throttle, go full throttle the way that you think is appropriate, and we will see the results on the field. And I think at this point, the only thing to do is accept what we're given, which is Craig Breslow's team, and hope that he really does do a good job. Do I believe in this philosophy? Absolutely not. Do I hope that the Red Sox win? Absolutely, I do. I will never stop cheering for the Red Sox, but if this thing goes really, really south by the end of the year, not only does Breslow need to go, I think it's serious time for an entire organizational reboot from the ground up. No more muddy ball analytic. We are not the Tampa Bay Rays. Those are my thoughts on the current state of the Boston Red Sox. Oh my God, my throat. Harry, thank you for your thoughts. I'm going to edit them because I'm editing this whole podcast. It was so fucking long. Guys, that's been our show. As always, follow us on Instagram at Not From Boston Pod. Substack, notfromboston.substack.com, patreon.com/notfromboston, and then listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. We will be back in 2 weeks, I think. And until then, go watch some baseball, go enjoy your time, and, go Red Sox. Bye.